It is already too late. There's no use in fighting it. The poison has reached your brain.
Give it to me straight. How long do I got?
You have 3 days, max.
Where did that freaking witch lady go?
She is nowhere, and she is everywhere.
Come on, you know I ain't got time to figure out some lame riddle. Not with this poison in me.
Sorry, but that's the nature of the witch. You should give up your search for her.
Not gonna happen. I'll track her down to the ends of the earth if I have to.
You are definitely an impatient young man. When someone is speaking, you should really let them finish. The poison can be neutralized, but in order to do that, you will need a snake charmer. Find one, and they can cleanse your body.
Where do I look?
Do I have to tell you everything?
What's up with this rain? It doesn't make any sense. I just wish it would hurry up and stop. You know?
What? Huh?
Don't stand there gaping like that. You want you to remove those snakes, don't you? It's your lucky day. I overheard that nasty conversation you were having with that fortune teller. So shouldn't you show me some kind of respect? I think so. If you're older than I am, then maybe you ought to start acting like it.
Oh, man, I want to kill this kid so bad.
If you don't want to die, restrain yourself.
I'm going out for a walk.
See you later, then! Hey, isn't this a little fishy? This is the 3rd day in a row.
It's true. He is moving rather stiffly. There must be something more to this.
Jean. It's a little girl. No way! I had no idea Mugen was a cradle robber. That chickie's even younger than I am.
So, do you think this doesn't not look good?
No, it does not look good on you. I don't know.
Look over here, Moogie Moogie. What do you think of this one? This hairpin is so awesome. It's totally me, don't you think?
You have an eye for quality, miss. That hairpin is made by a brilliant designer. A piece like that is extremely hard to come by. They generally sell out long before a shop in Ura Ezo could even come close to getting their hands on it.
Hey, Muge Muge! Hello? Are you listening?
Yeah. I hear you.
Oh, right. Then I'll take everything you got, all the way from this shelf to that shelf. So anyway, I was able to talk them into putting it all on my tab. I think if we can earn some cash within a week, we'll be okay.
We're not gonna come close to being okay. Playtime's over. My time's up today. I won't be around in a week.
No way! So you're like dying? Bummer. I was really hoping to hang out with you some more. That's a real shame. You know?
Don't try to be funny, you little turd. I got no problem killing you.
What, are you mad at me now? What, are you dumb? Can't you tell when someone's joking? Listen up. All right, I apologize. I went too far. I'm sorry.
Good, just so we're clear on that.
Don't get all carried away in everything. Look for the European gem that they call the Heaven's Smile. It's hidden somewhere inside the palace. Once you come back with it, I'll take care of the snakes. I'm telling the truth this time. I swear it.
All right, you got a deal.
Hello, come right in. This is what you want, then? Well, thank you very much. Please come again.
Hello, come right in. Thank you. Please come again.
Are you entering the contest? Okay, let's get you. I'm afraid there's an entry. Okay, let's try to eat as much as we can. Let's get eating!
3, 2, 1.
More, please. More, please.
It's over! Let's see the results. Oh, too bad. Hey, thanks for participating.
Young students, welcome to my dojo. Well then, shall we begin? Oh, what fine swordsmanship! Well then, shall we begin? How about this technique? Well then, shall we begin? Are you familiar? How about this technique? Well then, shall we begin? Now that wasn't bad at all. Well then, shall we begin? Now that wasn't bad at all. Well then, shall we begin?
Coming forward! I'm itching to kick me some ass!
Well then, shall we begin? And that is the samurai soul. Well then, shall we begin? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, what do you think of it? Now, how about this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? What do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? What do you think of it? Are you familiar how about this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, what do you think of it? Now, excellent, this technique. Well then, shall we begin? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? Come in! Come in! Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Now, how about this technique? think of it?
Come on!
And this technique, what do you think of it?
Come in!
Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Are you familiar with this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Now, how about this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it?
Come in! Come in! All the blazing bombs!
Are you familiar with this technique? And this technique, what do you think of it? Young students, welcome to my dojo. Well then, shall we begin?
Come in!
The samurai
Kick
sword.
me some ass!
Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin?
Talk about lame.
then, shall we begin? Are you familiar with this technique and this technique? What do you think of it? Are you familiar
Come in,
with this technique?
I'm itching to
How
clear
about
you.
this technique? Now, how about this technique? Are you familiar with this technique? Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin? And this technique, what do you think of it? Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin? Are you familiar with this technique? Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin? Well then, shall we begin?
What can I do for you? Ah, you want that one? Okay, there you go. Ah, you want that one? You want that one? Okay, there you go. Thank you. Come again.